This week's episode is brought to you in partnership with Zero Procure, who are here to make procurement simple, offering great value and quality for products and services, all for zero cost. And what business wouldn't want that? I am delighted that their support will now help keep this show accessible and free to listen to wherever you access your podcasts. Please get in touch with them for a chat. Just click on their link in the show notes or visit their site at zeroprocure.com/podcast. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Pix Ashworth, founder of Land&Water and director at Watergate Bay Hotel. Coming up on today's show, Pix makes her play for the most original line of the show so far.
But Ben was the master of the sausage barrier.
Phil risks the wrath of his wife, but she'll absolutely rinse me for this, and Pix recounts one particularly bizarre incident.
He was told by one of his team that there was a dog in the pool.
All that and so much more as Pix talks us through her story and journey to date. There's so much to love in Pix's story, all starting off by marrying into the industry as she puts it, but then quickly finding a passion and pursuing it with vigour. There are loads of lessons in here about entrepreneurial life, as well as a peek behind the curtain into the driving force behind a sustainable business at the top of their game. A huge thank you to Pix for sharing her story. As always, a sneaky reminder to keep sharing the podcast as far as you can. Let's get the world talking about our amazing industry. Enjoy. Pix Ashworth, a very warm welcome to Hospitality Meets. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, very good indeed. Where are you recording this from today?
I'm sitting in Cornwall at Newquay Aero Hub Business Park, which is where our offices are. So from a different window in the building, I can see the ocean. And then I can see the runway of the second longest runway in the country.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they used to land, they used to be able to, it was a sort of pit stop for Concorde if it was ever needed.
Oh, wow. There we are. We've got to be careful now, though. We don't want to turn this into an educational podcast. No, that's great. Straight in with the facts as well. So for everyone listening, just tell people who you are and what you do.
Yes, certainly. So I'm Pix Ashworth. I have been in the hospitality industry for knocking 20 years now, and I came into it through a unusual route in that I married into the hospitality industry, which I don't think is the sort of prototype way to do it.
Yeah, so you might be the first actually on the show that's gone in that way, but we'll take it. We'll absolutely take it.
Before that I was working in London and Paris in asset management and financial services, and so in a sense meeting Will, my husband, was pretty formative to my career, and landed me up in Cornwall from Paris in 2004. And jumped straight in and became jack of all and not so much master of anything.
So what are your interests at this point in time? Because you've got a kind of double whammy going on in your world.
In my business world, yes. So we have, in fact, I had an early double whammy as well, in that when I first came to Cornwall, yes, I sort of helped out to begin with, just to get my feet under the desk. So I helped out in the hotel with Will. Our hotel's on the North Cornwall coast, a place called Watergate Bay. 2 miles of blissfully uninterrupted sand cliff and a consistent surf break. And so I just got my feet under the desk, and then pretty quickly, in fact, we'd already started talking about it when I was in Paris, this idea to create a self-catering marketing agency, which we call Beach Retreats. So that was my sort of first calling, as it were, and it was really great because it meant that I was attached to the business, the hospitality business, but I could sort of forge my own path at the same time and take the same purpose and values from our hotel business and create a new business called Beach Retreats. So that is a marketing agency for self-catering properties. And as I said, it took that same idea from our business. We talk about our business as being like a ski resort on a beach with great accommodation, food and drink, and of course the ultimate aspect of it is being outside amongst the elements, the playground of the beach. So Beach Retreats took all those great reasons for being and we set up this marketing agency. So I got our first third-party clients. We had a few self-catering properties of our own within the business, and we built that out with third-party clients. And the business is now run by somebody far more qualified than I am, in the form of Andy Easton, who's the managing director, and we let 250 to 300 properties under beach retreats. So that was kind of my first, forging my own path, as you put it. And then post that, quick break to have 3 children, and then
quick break.
Land&Water. Quick break.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't that quick, I have to say, but it was definitely a period of my life where I was working more part-time when the children were young, and they're now old enough to sort themselves out pretty much. And we have a new business called Land&Water, which I set up a couple of years ago. And again, that's taking the same purpose and vision of the hotel business that we have already.
Yeah, well, I do want to get into that, and we will get into that in the fullness of time. But actually, we've kind of skirted over your story a little bit in 4 minutes. We need more depth. So so take us all the way back and predate this to hospitality, because I'm always intrigued. I know that you got into it because you married into it, in inverted commas, but there must have been an intrigue, I guess, in order to, because you don't, just because you married into it doesn't necessarily mean that you give up your career unless there's something that sparks an interest in it. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, my career was financial services, asset management in London and Paris.
Yeah.
But there's something very there's something very tangible about hospitality. When I first met Will, I used to rib him endlessly about the fact that his family couldn't have a restaurant meal without sort of dissecting every element of the venue that we were at, or the food we were eating. And now I'm ashamed to say that I'm the first into it. I'm fascinated by it. I just think it's so relevant. Everybody has an opinion on hospitality. Not many people have an opinion on asset management. And
that's a fair comment. Yeah.
And it really suited me. It's not a world I've grown up in at all, and I'm still not a foodie. I leave that to Will. And
there's a bit of a story here, I think, around one of the first meals that you ever cooked for your.
Yes, sadly, the first meal I cooked for him was we met in the Alps, which is one of our favorite places to be, in the French Alps, skiing. And then when we came back, we met up in London, where I was living. He was living in Cornwall, and he came for lunch, and I just got back off the plane, and I just grabbed something pretty functional from M&S. And so that was my first meal for him. Let's just say it was, yes, most definitely a ready meal.
Right. I can relate to this. Well, I have because I'm a hospitality lifer, for want of a better phrase, and my wife married into me, although she's not ever worked in hospitality, but I definitely turned her into a foodie before I came on the scene. Well, when she cooked me a meal, and she'll absolutely rinse me for this, but mashed potato was, you remember that Smash product where you just pour hot water?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh no, I never.
I quickly eradicated that from. Yeah, but sorry, honey, sorry.
That makes me feel better. You've just landed yourself in it and pulled me out of my hole.
Yeah, but so you met in the Alps, and then what happened next? How did you make the transition away from what you were doing? Because actually, asset management is also now a huge part of hospitality, and on the finance side of things, there's a whole new industry.
Asset management. We were managing funds under management. So both for the insurance company that it was part of, so they're third-party funds, but also managing third party, so managing the assets within the insurance company, but also managing third party funds as well. Right. So a different type of asset.
Yeah.
So I was hugely ambitious to get to the top of that tree in that world, in that financial world, to begin with. And as feisty as I am, I do admit, with a little bit of age behind me now, that your priorities change. I think when you meet someone that you like to spend a bit of time with, or ended up being the rest of our lives. But yeah, I think we have to make a move either one way or the other. It would be very difficult for Will to have left Cornwall, and fairly easy for me to move out of London or Paris. So we'd commuted for 2 years initially from between London and Cornwall, and then between Paris and Cornwall. And despite taking numerous flights between Paris and Cornwall, I was still not over my fear of flying. But
God bless.
yeah, but you can only do that for so long. So yeah, we decided that I would move to Cornwall, and obviously it's quite different.
Is this maybe bust some myths while we're at this? Because I think you might be the first person I've had on the show that's started their career in financial services, and a lot of what we talk about on the show has been around hospitality's reputation as a place to work, and everybody talks about long hours and all of these, and and stressful places. But I'd imagine that financial services can be long hours and pretty stressful as well.
It was hugely long hours, and I have sort of tendency to overdo things in that domain. So yeah, it was ridiculously long hours, and I did an MA as well. And that's the only regret I have is in my early 20s. I probably worked too hard. That said, I worked with the most fantastic people. It was despite being part of a much bigger in London, it was much part of a much bigger French company. Had a very I really adored the British culture that is so welcoming to all international, all nationalities. It's fascinating because there were, it was so diverse, all the different nationalities, yet underneath it was this great British culture instilled by the chairman, who very much encouraged people to try new things, people to ask questions. And I think that's quite unique to Britain, and something I particularly like about it. So there was no sort of who knows the most, who studied, the best degree to be in this business. It didn't feel elitist. It felt very open, hardworking. Hardworking, yes, but very open and a lot of fun. And yeah, it was a great period of my life. I just worked too hard.
Yeah, well, and then So sorry, I was taking you off your story. I was just intrigued because because it's great to hear, and this is something that I think is we don't do enough of as an industry generally. Is we given the fact that we're a welcoming industry, we don't welcome enough people from other industries in. It's still a little bit, well, you don't have experience in this, and this, so you can't come in and do this. But actually, there's so much crossover and so much learning we can take by bringing people. It's the same as having a diverse culture, isn't it? Really, ultimately, it's every person that comes into your world brings color in some way. So let's embrace that, and let's have more people from other sectors coming into hospitality.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I would say, the thing I love about hospitality is, as I said, it's a very tangible business. Everybody has an opinion on it, and the thoughts behind it. And I think that's very helpful because that allows greater depth of thought. There's nothing hugely technical about it that sort of precludes you from coming into that industry. And I think the concept of brand has become so integral to a well-run hospitality business, and brand comes from the way we are and how we interact. And so all of us can bring something to the party when we're nurturing a brand. So yeah, I think I've never seen it personally. It's interesting you say that. I haven't sort of seen it as a closed off industry.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm a recruiter, and maybe it's because people pay me a fee for the people I introduce. So they don't want. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but they don't want the left field ideas. They want. We want X, Y, Z. So give us X, Y, Z. If I'm bringing A, B, C, and Z, then why are they paying a fee for my services? But maybe that's why they're paying a fee. Maybe I need to be the one that's kind of being creative in solutions. But anyway, that's a whole different ballgame completely. But so arrival Cornwall, starting to move away from financial services.
Mm-hmm.
How was that transition? Was it something that you were kind of really focused and said, yeah, this is absolutely a no-brainer, this is what I'm going to do? Or was it more a kind of...
No, it was much more organic than that. I
Was
think
it?
it was just me helping Will out to begin with. His general manager left actually just at about the time that I moved to Cornwall, so I was just sort of jumping in, filling a gap whilst we recruited a new general manager. I dived into anything. We were doing a new wing of bedrooms at the time, and I became an expert in underfloor heating and what carpet works with underfloor heating. I
Okay.
didn't stay in that domain. If you knew me better, you'd understand that's not my domain. But yeah, so I just jumped in to begin with. Whilst all the time in the background, we had this idea for beach treats, and I was beginning to nurture that idea. And that was a really great area for me to pull into, because actually the most important bit to begin with was getting new owners on board. And therefore that was talking to owners, and in a sense, it was a more corporate feel to it, because I needed to create a contract between us and the owners and set up the whole foundation of the business and how it was going to run, etc. So it was less about the sort of operational running of the business and more about the setup. And so I had a lot of confidence from my more corporate background to be able to do that. So that worked very well, actually. I did a quick stint in marketing as well to cover our marketing manager's maternity leave.
Right.
So yeah, and then after that, after about a year being in Cornwall, I was full time setting up beach retreats.
Right. But that's what you just said there about dipping into the needs of the business, basically, is absolutely what a kind of owner-led business is all about, though, isn't it? I mean, you can't
Yeah,
just sit there in your ivory tower and just let a gap appear and not do
yeah,
anything about it. And
yeah.
I also know from your stories that you've dipped into the kitchen as an example.
Yes, it took me 18 years, but I was allowed in eventually.
Yeah,
Um, not to cook happily for the guests, but to help serve breakfast during the pandemic last year.
yeah,
And so I absolutely love that. You roll in at 6:30. The chefs have already been there for an hour preparing, and then interacting with the guests and serving them. It was at a time where we were obviously trying to restrict touch points, so having one person serve our hot breakfast made sense. So yeah, so I was serving sausages and grilled tomatoes and bacon and all the rest.
yeah. Well, that needs must, right? You do what you need to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. That was definitely definitely the easier choice to housekeeping, which both Will and I did a huge amount of as well, plus our eldest two children who are teenagers. So we even though it was a really tough summer in terms of just workload and obviously challenges the whole industry faced, it was Will and I spent a lot of time together cleaning bathrooms, cleaning rooms,
Yeah.
serving breakfast, etc. So yeah,
Well,
I like dipping in, and I'm perfectly happy in my role as jack of all. I don't feel the need to be a master of it.
yeah, but that's the thing. You generally, in an ideal world, you hire people who are masters, and
Yeah,
when there's the moments whereby there's a gap, then you it's the very nature of a kind of general management position, isn't it? Really, ultimately,
yeah.
you are going
Yeah,
in where you
you're
need to.
so right, and I love working with masters. I love just saying, steer me, lead me, because you know far better than I do. So you give
Yeah,
your input, you give your heartbeat to it, but they would steer.
yeah. I had there's a lady called Joanne Taylor Stagg who's quite a high profile general manager in London. She was
Hmm.
on the show and she was talking about that moment when everybody reopened after lockdowns and things like that, and it took people a while to find their feet again in terms of what numbers
Yes.
do we need? How many people do we actually need to come and service the guests? How many guests are we going to actually have? And so she
Yes.
found herself dipping into housekeeping, and she said that her housekeeping team were delighted when she stepped away again. Because
Oh,
it's
really?
yeah, because don't think people fully appreciate what a skill it is
It's a huge skill. Oh my goodness.
to be so effective in that environment, whereby you need to do it properly, but two, you need to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
we're all agreed it's the toughest gig by a long shot. And yeah, our she sounds like our MD Ben. He would only work with our head housekeeper, so he knew exactly what he had to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of banter on that respect. But Ben was the master of the sausage barrier in the serving breakfast. He was very proud that he invented the sausage barriers to make sure that the beans and the egg didn't collide. So
This is now going to be a term. This is going into folklore, this term,
yeah.
the
It
sausage
was a lot
barrier.
of fun. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, on a more serious note, I think it was really tough opening after lockdown. I think, never mind all the obvious challenges, but the sort of more nuanced ones were fascinating in terms of our team finding their way as to how to be again. We were so certain of what our culture was before, and we absolutely had a way of being. And then, after lockdown, you're very aware of how different people are feeling about being in confined or less confined spaces. Some
Yeah.
people totally relaxed, some people very nervous, and so you have to sort of slightly re-engineer, and that was fascinating.
Yeah, and that's when you need your masters to step up as well, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
you can't have
absolutely.
all the answers
Yeah, and your
yourself.
leaders. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm conscious of the fact that we're 20 odd minutes into the chat, and actually we've spoken about the hotel, but we haven't spoken about the hotel in terms of what do you have? What's if people were going to come and stay, what would
Yeah.
they experience?
So as I said, it's a low tide. It's 2 miles of uninterrupted sand, cliff, north coast. So that much more rugged cliff than the south coast, with a consistent surf break. And at the and we I talk about that first because we think of that's what our story owes everything to its location.
Right.
It's and the hotel and the concept is our take on a modern beach holiday, and it's really all about finding a balance that feels right to that guest to come and stay. Now, for some people, that's getting in the surf every day, paddling out and spending hours in the surf, no matter what the weather. For other people, that may be finding a quiet corner or striding the cliffs on a crisp day or coming in for a warming sauna. So we talk very much about blowing the cobwebs. We use the same language that we did 15, 20 years ago about blowing away the cobwebs, getting out amongst the elements, coming in, feeling cozy, eating well, drinking well, and yeah, finding your balance, your sweet spot, as it were. So we talk about it internally. We don't use it that much in our marketing communications, but because it sort of requires quite a lot of thinking about. But the phrase active relaxation is very important to us. So we have what other hoteliers might call a spa, but we purposefully don't call it a spa because spa has all the connotations of pampering, etc., which is wonderful in its place, but isn't us. So we're about being very active but relaxed at the same time, and it's that sort of sweet spot of emotion. So yeah, active relaxation is probably the best way that I can describe what it is. And we have 80 bedrooms and several restaurants, surf and kite surfing school, stand-up
Wow.
paddleboarding, etc. So yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But this was, you can now begin to understand, if you know a little bit about Land&Water, which is the latest brand that I launched a couple of years ago, as to why we created Land&Water, which is our natural bath and body products that we created for ourselves, and we've now taken out into other hospitality businesses as well.
That's a wonderful segue, by the way. I think that's perfect timing to move into that. But it's actually something that I'm having increasingly more conversations with people who, like conscientious business owners, who are contemplating, like, what's next? What do we do now? What can we be doing more of? What could we be doing better? And all of these things. And a lot of that is centered around planet as well, and your
Absolutely.
impact on that. So, yeah, talk to me about how this kind of this idea. Well, first of all, talk to us about what Land&Water is. What is your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So Land&Water, you won't be surprised to know, starts with an idea that I've just been talking about, which is that we very much believe, and I don't think it's ever think that anyone would dispute that time outside makes us feel better inside. So that is the basis. And again, that
Love
is a
that.
natural
Yeah.
evolution from this idea of active relaxation. So taking that idea, we created our own natural bath and body products. And the idea is that they recreate that fresh skin invigoration, that elevated sense of well-being that you get from spending time outside. And as I said before, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be like a warrior of the surf. You can be, just as content having an amble on the cliffs, or just sitting outside and spending time outside, and coming back in again and having that sense of invigoration, but also calm underneath. So really, Land and Water has evolved from years of witnessing that incredible warm glow that emanates from people when they come in out of the elements. And we have a sister business to Watergate Bay Hotel in Cumbria called Another Place, which is a first of a new collection of hotels, and that also poured ample inspiration into Land and Water. The same concept of spending time outside.
Cumbria is a beautiful part of the world, but a different focus. It's more land, I guess, than water.
Yes, but our hotel there sits on the Lake District's second biggest lake, Lake Ullswater.
Right.
So it sits in this sort of magnificent, very serene environment. And again, on the threshold of Land and Water, and that sort of elemental invigoration and that happy, relaxed calm that you get from spending time outside, I think is pertinent to both. And likewise, you could be walking alongside a canal in London, or simply sitting under a tree in a park. It's all around that idea. It's not exclusive to the coast or to lakes. Right. This concept, and that's why we develop fragrances that emphatically don't smell of something particular. We're not trying to you're not trying to smell the sea. You're trying to capture that emotion of exhilaration and calm, and we do that through buoyant citrus fragrance as the top notes, such as grapefruit, lime, and mint. And then underneath, we have very sort of calming woody notes, such as sandalwood, frankincense. And so, yeah, we very much have designed it purposefully to capture that essence, capture that emotion. And that emotion obviously is different to different people. And so we hope that it allows that sweet spot of emotion.
Right. But where did the inspiration come from? Like, was it an idea popped in to someone's head?
No, again, seems to be a recurring theme in this conversation.
Yeah.
It just sort of came about, I think. And we had our own product before Land and Water as well. But as our aspirations grew, we wanted very much, and the products before that, they were beautiful fragrances, but they weren't particularly considered. And so we wanted to create a much more cohesive collection that we felt if we took it to wholesale, took it to retailers, it absolutely had a place on the shelf next to other high-end brands. So, and then quickly the ambition came behind the idea of recreating our own product to then take it to wholesale, both into national retailers and boutiques, and also out to other hospitality businesses as well.
Right. I love this. I really, really love this because
thank you so much.
I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I as my wife would tell you, I have 100 ideas a day. 99.9 of them are terrible, but in any case, the ideas.
It's always those closest to you who tell you the truth.
Yeah, indeed. But it's one thing, I suppose, to have an idea. It's another thing to then move it forward. And I think what I really love about your story so far is that you're encapsulated this passion for hospitality. You have this business that's a high performing business in a beautiful setting, but then there's like a byproduct of that as well. It's like, why stop there? Let's this is kind of forming something else. Let's move another idea forward. And I would hazard the guess that down the line at some other time there'll be another idea that'll come up. And I think it's such a, I think the industry is a wonderful place to come in and test out ideas. It's such a fast moving industry that you can kind of come in and go, right, is this going to work? no, okay, we'll scrap that. Is this going to work? Let's try that instead, and all of that. And it seems to me that you've kind of applied this incremental improvement process into your business, and by virtue of that, ideas come up because you're getting to a point with one side of your business that says, oh, actually what we need now to improve the business to this end is that we need this product now. And so that's what we're going to focus that on, and actually make it its own little business rather than it just being something that serves your own hotels, as it were. Am I right, or am I completely off track?
No, I think you're completely right. And I think what is driving that, have you come across the expression, a home tell?
I actually haven't, no.
So I think it's probably has been coined by Room 2, which is a new hotel concept in London, and they describe themselves as hotels, which I think is so relevant, and it's probably exactly what you've been describing, and they've just articulated it extremely well. And this idea that hotels are sort of evolving into hotels, so the sense that everything that you do needs to have a resonance and a purpose, and reflect a kind of personality of your brand and who you are. Just like when you walk into a home, a certain piece of furniture or something, a picture on the wall, it has a resonance with the inhabitants there. And so if we had a Bath and Body brand that was totally at odds with our ethos, then it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't feel, and we're so far away from the sort of corporate hotel world, for leisure anyway, of the, I don't know, let's say the 1980s, that
poor old 1980s. Sense of home.
Sorry?
The poor old 1980s, it always gets it wasn't good for anything though, was it? I mean, really.
Oh, it was good for growth, I think. But I'm not, But that sense of home is so important to us now. We crave it just like we crave time outside. And so that sort of resonance, things that make sense. And that's what we're finding as we take Land and Water into the hospitality industry, is we're finding that it's striking a chord with progressive hospitality partners. And by that, I mean not only our environmental ethos, which for me is absolutely there, but shouldn't be in USP because it should be a given. We have an environmental ethos, but also that we have these products that are really relating to how people might feel about the world, what's important to them, what they want from their time away, to get that balance of, they don't want to just go away and sleep for a week. Well, you might do in some circumstances, but generally you want to be invigorated and stimulated at the same time as feeling calm and relaxed. You want to be inspired. I don't know if you're the same. When we go away on holiday, we have these amazing conversations about everything that we're going to do and achieve. And
well, that's why these moments are critical, though, aren't they? To because you can get on the hamster wheel and you just get busy with everything, and you could be missing something golden, but actually by snapping yourself out of that and just and I'm saying this because I'm going on holiday on Saturday, so I can't wait. And it's one of those things whereby those 100 ideas that I'll have will turn into 1,000 ideas, but actually probably 5 of those might have some traction rather than 0, because you're just not focused on the other day-to-day stuff that just happens, and you can't ignore it, and you've got it, especially in an entrepreneurial environment where you can't drop the ball on any part of your business. You've got to keep those balls in the air all the time.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about bandwidth and headspace, and it's needed. And I think we adore Cornwall, but we do find that we have to get over the border to have that headspace. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, I mean,
once we're in Devon, we're away.
Right. All right. Okay. Well, no, I'll take that. I mean, the staycations have gone through the roof, right? So, although I have to say, we had it was last May. We had a staycation in Cornwall, actually.
Did you? Okay.
And we went over to the Scilly Isles for the first time in our lives.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, except it was incredibly rough on the way over on the ferry. Okay. And for somebody who grew up on an island and who spent the first 5 years of his adult working life on ships, I was seasick for the first time in my whole life. Yeah.
No.
I've lost my salty sea dog legs.
Okay.
And I remember thinking at that moment, the staycation is dead to me. I I need to go somewhere else.
That was
But
it, was
anyway,
it?
but yeah, but well, we just happened to catch it on a particularly rotten day. But anyway,
And how long were you there?
we literally just went over to Scilly for the day, so over on the
Okay.
ferry and then back on the ferry the same day, just to get. And it was, we now refer to Scilly as being the wettest place we've ever been to in our lives. You know, at the point where you're just wet through, and you just
Yeah.
but even then, there's fun to be had, because we had this moment, this realization whereby you go, oh well, do you know that old thing that your mum used to say? You only get wet once. You know, we're there. We're not going to get
Yeah.
any more wet now. So let's just. This
I
is our
think my
life.
parents would have, yeah, my parents would definitely have told me that it was character building or something like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
indeed. And now it's a wonderful story that we talk to each other about.
well, exactly.
And the
Exactly.
staycation is not dead to us, I have to say. But in that moment, it absolutely was. But yeah, staycations have gone crazy. Which is
Yeah, well,
great.
I think, yeah, I think they are very relaxing. It's not a relaxing experience going through an airport, is it?
No, indeed. And there's so many parts of the UK that are just beautiful.
Hmm.
Again, as you say, it's just getting off that hamster wheel to get your brain
Yeah,
into
absolutely.
a different place. So, Land and Water, you're fully formed. Where are you at the moment in terms of your journey? You mentioned that you're now working with wholesalers in terms of getting your
Mhm.
products out there. So, what stage are you at in its evolution and growth?
Yes, so we sell online direct to consumer, and then in our wholesale world, which incidentally is very competitive, the direct to consumer world, and requires a huge level of expertise in marketing. And then in our wholesale world, we have two elements to it, and one is forging relationships with retailers, and that's really interesting because that's so important for us to get our brand stamp, as I said, to sit on the shelf alongside some great brands. And we're in some national retailers, and we've just sent our first shipment to Hong Kong to a national retailer there. So that's tremendously exciting. And then in on the other side of wholesale is into the hospitality business, and I'm hugely excited about it. This is a real exciting area for us. It's an area for growth, and I love it because we have so much to talk about. We're hoteliers. We understand pain points. We understand what matters to them, and we can speak hoteliers' language. We're going to be exhibiting for the first time at the Independent Hotel Show at the beginning of October in London at
Fantastic.
Olympia. So yeah, so we're beginning. We've had lots of inquiries coming our way, and that's the way we have grown the hospitality side of our business to date. We're a very small team, and now we're just making that transition from being sort of passive and letting inquiries come to us to actually actively getting out there and looking for those inquiries as well as receiving them.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting time then for you guys on that side, let alone everything else you've got going on as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems that you like to keep yourself busy.
That's come full circle, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Great stuff. Well, question I like to ask everybody who comes on the show, from your hospitality career, not your financial services career so far, do you have any
Yeah.
funny stories you could share with us?
Um, I think probably the best one. I mean, most of my funny stories because would come from soaking up what our front of house team tell us or our general manager. We
Yes.
had a, uh, a general manager a long time ago who was huge fun. You could hear his laugh booming around the corridor before he got to you. And he just told the story so beautifully about coming to, at the time, we had a much smaller little indoor pool. And he was told by one of his team that there was a dog in the pool. And
Okay.
so you would immediately think, oh my goodness, safety of the dog. But no, it was fully intentional. And our general manager went to investigate, to be told by the guest quite plainly that there was every reason for his dog to be in the pool, and that it was raining outside and his dog needed exercising. And Mark, I was our general manager at the time, just the way he told this story with this wonderfully infectious laugh at the same time, and rightly, the right reaction to have was that he laughed, and I think that happens time and time again,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I think guest stories are a lot of fun,
Yes.
and I think I think teams really enjoy those kind of fun moments, and yeah, I think we've had a pet snake somebody bought once.
Goodness.
So again, we took that on and sort of
Oh, God,
decided it was, I guess, not far away from having a dog in a room because some of our rooms take dogs, so we took a snake.
I'd have been running for the hills. That's
I
one.
was nowhere near the conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you're right, though. I mean, the guests bring the stories, don't they? And a lot of the stories you can't repeat a lot of the time. But I'm
Yeah.
just intrigued why a dog owner in the UK can't take his dog out for a walk in the rain.
No, no.
And
Nor the sort of processing of the fur and things that may be going through the
no,
filtration
indeed.
system.
And how
But
do
I
you
suppose,
arrive at that as the natural conclusion? Is that's how I'm going to get round this problem? I'm just going to put my dog in the swimming pool.
but that's the joy of being away on holiday. Nothing's your problem; it's somebody else's
That's
problem,
true.
isn't it?
That's true. Yeah.
And rightly so. That's why you come and stay at a hotel, to be looked after, and for somebody else to worry about the detail.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. No, that's a belter. What does the next year have in store for you guys? It sounds like it's continued growth around Land and Water.
Mm.
What about the hotel? What's the plans around that and your other business?
So there's always a building project to be done in the winter. I I always say that if there's no spade in the ground by September, then something is wrong with my husband. Um, but no, I think we've got a new hotel coming on as part of another place in Hampshire. We've just finished a project at another place in the Lake District, which we've called Outside, which is this incredible tree house and shepherd's huts and a glass house with a restaurant in there, right by the lake. And then at the hotel in Cornwall at Watergate Bay, we'll be doing quite a lot of refurbishment in a period where we close for about 10 days, 2 weeks in January.
Right.
So and then in terms of Land and Water, as I said, we're a very small team, and what I'm learning fast from a fast growing small brand is the need to keep very focused and not be distracted, because there's so much you can do, so many opportunities come towards you, which is exciting, but I think we need to be laser focused and make sure that we keep to our strategy, as it were, without getting distracted.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I wish you all the very best with that. It sounds fabulous. It also
Thank you
sounds
so
like
much.
you're really here and now with that in terms of its focus and what it stands for and all of that. So I wish you all the very best with the next phase of that.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you.
No problem. You're going to be at the Independent Hotel show.
Yes, 4th to
Well,
5th of October.
I might come and say hello. We can.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I think
We
I
shall.
probably will be there myself. So I'll come over
Excellent.
and shake your
Well,
hand.
if you like coffee, we've got a Cornish company right next to us, which is so much fun, called Origin Coffee. So there'll be a little Cornish welcome for you with great coffee, and we'll furnish you with lots of products to take home. That would be a joy to see.
Oh, fabulous. Final question before I let you get on your way. What 3 reasons would you give to somebody who was considering a career in hospitality to come in and join the fun?
What 3 reasons?
Yeah.
So I think we talked a little bit about brand earlier. I think brand is exciting for everybody. As I said, everybody can contribute to the brand. I think the buzz is infectious. It's infectious both in terms of when you're at work, and it's infectious when you're talking about your career to your friends and family at home. So there's a sense that your home life understands your work life. And then banter. I mean,
Love
like I
that.
said, there's so many great stories and things that you have. So yeah, buzz, brand, and banter to me
The
are
three
there.
Bs, the three Bs of why you should come and join this industry. I love that to bits. And the banter thing for me, I don't think there's an industry out there that will give you more banter than hospitality.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of food that comes that way, isn't there? In terms of, by food, I mean, it's I think the banter comes because there's so much to bring the banter, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and telling your story. I really am very interested to see what you get up to next. I think it's a wonderful concept, as I say. I must come and say
Thank you,
hello to
Phil.
you
Thank
at
you.
the hotel as well, because active relaxation, is that the phrase?
Yeah, yeah.
That's right up my alley. That
Excellent.
yeah, and
Excellent.
2
Well,
miles of
thank you
beach.
very much, Phil. It's lovely to have your warmth and your enthusiasm. So thank you very much.
Bless you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye. And there we have it. What a wonderful story from Pix, where she is doing some incredible work in demonstrating yet another route into our amazing industry through another sector. I'll be back again next week with more stories from hospitality, but until then, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.